Welcome. You've come to the right room. You know, that conference stress about what you might miss if you don't go to the other room. But this is the right room, so welcome. We are here to talk about curating interest. And there'll be two sessions, the first of which will be with our guests here. Well, let's welcome Listrak's Director of Strategy, Karen DiClemente. I didn't butcher that, right? And the CEO of luxury knitwear brand White & Warren, Susan, am I going to get this right? Susan White Morrissey. And they will be talking about a case study that they did together on why segmentation really drives great returns. So let's give them a hand and let's take notes.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll dive right in. Quick agenda today, only 20 minutes to get through hopefully valuable content. Let Susan kick it off.
I have to talk over the video a little. I founded White & Warren over 21 years ago, and it's always been about luxury knitwear for us. We're known for high-end cashmere, but we do a lot more than just cashmere. We create styles that are on trend, that might last forever, but most importantly, make a woman feel good about herself when she wears them. The bulk of our business, the volume, is driven by two categories. The Essentials collection, which is being shown here in the video, is a group of 8 styles that can be in a wardrobe forever. And then the iconic cashmere travel wrap that's been with us since the beginning of time, and it's still the #1 product on our site.
All right. There you go.
So White & Warren, we're carried in 800 retail partners across the world. We're known for excellent customer loyalty in this industry, engagement, and we just, they just keep coming back again and again. We are seeing growth year over year, plus 25%. We're really, really excited and proud of that. And I guess the challenge that we're going to talk about today is how to continue the growth and reactivate customers and then go after new customers. This is our fall collection. Kinley. I'd love to introduce my partner, the founder of Kinley, Catherine Morrissey. She's also my daughter. In this next slide, the fall campaign was shot at 7 World Trade and on the 39th floor. So we just launched fall this week.
All right. So thanks for the background, Susan. So we all know that as retailers, relevance drives revenue. But on a regular basis, I think a lot of us are challenged with how do we deliver a relevant customer experience to our subscribers and our customers that we're speaking to regularly through the email channel specifically. And I think a lot of the experiences that I've seen is that we tend to overcomplicate our strategies, and we have this really great vision in our head of how we want to communicate to our customers and what we want to communicate. But oftentimes we get caught up in lack of time, lack of resources, lack of internal expertise to actually execute on what our vision should look like. So today, we're going to introduce what we call the segmentation maturity model and really kind of unpack White & Warren's journey of how we slowly move them up the model and hopefully make segmentation and delivering relevant experiences not a scary thing for us as retailers, and hopefully one that we can all go back and execute on. So this is a segmentation maturity model we use at Listrak as we work with clients to help them grow their email programs and their email campaigns. And like a lot of retailers that we see when we started to work with White & Warren, we were very clearly kind of at batch and blast, right? And so this is what I would call the state of retail email. This is what the email program initially looked like. And I think we can all attest to the fact, if we opened up our inboxes this morning and saw the hundreds of emails in there, that a lot of them weren't really speaking to our recent behavior with that particular brand or that particular retailer, whether it was subject line, whether it was content, whether it was promotion. We all probably received some sort of generic message from whoever we were signed up with. And so with White & Warren, we really had to take a bit of a different approach because Susan's team has done such a great job with acquisition, and I think Susan can probably speak to some of those tactics that we've seen such expansive list growth over time.
Well, the experience was a 54% increase in 12 months. We do 2 sweeps a year. Our first big one, which was done with Karen at Listrak, was Rachel Zhou. It was really exciting. And then the next successful campaign was with Erno Laszlo, another excellent result. We learned a lot through that process. We did our first Facebook Live event with Erno Laszlo, and it's just been time and time again. Every time we do it, we learn more, we develop more, and we get more results, better results. And we're currently in a sweeps with Margot Shoes, Hey Mama. Catherine was featured in a story with Hey Mama, which helped us out quite a bit. And then our 2 brands. Oh, and also, not to forget Golden number 8. And then our 2 brands, White & Warren and Kinley. And that sweepstakes ends this week, again, with great results. We're very excited.
Yeah, and so like many of us, when we see really large list growth like that over a period of time, we now have a number of different audiences on our list that we have to speak to because they're all in different stages of their customer journey, right? So some of them, it's really all about introducing the brand and brand awareness and getting them to make that first purchase. For some of them, they're already, happy, loyal customers. How do we continue to nurture that relationship and engage them? And so how do we move up the segmentation maturity model? So essentially, with White & Warren, we moved from that batch and blast level up to the goal-based level on the maturity model. And so the next level is something that we would call report-based. And this is really not anything crazy. It's really just taking a closer look at your email metrics in a more detailed view at the different audiences and segments that you have on your list. And so with the report phase or the report-based level of the segmentation maturity model, you really want to start by identifying the audiences that you think should deserve different content or should deserve a different customer experience with your brand. So it could be different subject lines, different promotions, different creative, different frequency, different cadence, right? Anybody throughout that customer journey that you as a marketer would say, hey, you know what, based on their behavior, we should probably treat them a little bit differently. And so with White & Warren, we really uncovered or decided to start with 5 audiences that we knew we wanted to talk to in a different manner. So that first audience was really the VIP customer group. And as Susan mentioned earlier, we already knew that these people just kept coming back, but we weren't treating them any differently with our marketing program. The second group, active and inactive customers. So we have customers that are active. We wouldn't necessarily call them VIP yet. And then we have those dreaded one-time purchasers on our list and those folks that haven't purchased from us in a while that we wanted to speak to perhaps differently. And then we had we have a large non-purchaser segment on the list. Susan mentioned we do a lot of contests, a lot of sweeps, so it's really all about how do we educate them about the brand and get them to make that first purchase. And active and inactive here means they've engaged with the email program or they haven't engaged with the email program as they came on the list. So after you get your audiences and you identify these, and by the way, this is not a set in stone process. This should be iterative. you should be constantly thinking about different segments that you want to send to and test over time. So, this was our kind of first hypothesis and first stab at who we felt should receive a different email experience. The next step is really to develop your baseline metrics for this group. And this should be a relatively easy task, but it's really just measuring how each of these audiences react to your current marketing efforts. And this is really important because it allows you to measure the impact of your future efforts against what you were kind of traditionally doing, and allows you to show growth. It allows you to say to somebody, I was able to improve our conversion rate or able to drive a lift in revenue by X, Y, Z. So if you know where you started from, you can clearly measure your success at the end of the road. And so just by going through this exercise, we uncovered, I think Susan can speak to the fact that we just uncovered a few nuggets of information about how our current marketing efforts were impacting these audiences.
So VIPs, we love them. Many of them have been with us, it seems like forever. And then, as I said earlier, they just keep coming back. They perform at more than a double rate, a conversion rate of our active list. So the opportunity here is to, I guess, segment further and do a tiered spending and frequency of purchase threshold. And we're going to start that soon. We're very excited to start that soon. And then I guess I want to speak to the next slide.
Oh,
that's you.
Yeah. So I think with our learnings here, we learned that our VIP customers performed at double the conversion rate, but also loved our new arrivals and sale emails. Mm-hmm. Highly engaged with that content, as traditionally that is a pattern that we see across a lot of brands and retailers. Our active and inactive customers, we found that that even if they've purchased or they've been lapsing as a customer, they're still engaged with our brand or with the brand. So they're still opening emails at a 30% consistently higher average than our benchmark metrics. And then our non-customer group, this was really a challenge for us because as we looked at their metrics, we found that it was really tough to engage this audience with our current marketing efforts. So we knew that we needed to do something differently to not only keep these guys engaged, but also figure out how to drive that first purchase and conversion from them. And then the last step of this process is really all about testing and optimization. So once you have your baseline metrics established for each of your audiences, you really want to think about what variables you want to test to show improvement with those baseline metrics. So for example, if we have our non-purchaser group, I may want to test landing pages to see how I can improve that conversion rate. I may want to test different promotions. Maybe I want to, repulse the welcome offer back out to them periodically if they haven't purchased. So, I encourage you guys to test everything from subject lines to creative to content to time of day to day of week. And so this is really the kind of entry point into the next phase on the maturity model, which I would call goal-based segmentation. And so, we're really, with White and Warren, very clearly still in this phase on the segmentation maturity model. We have a lot of work ahead of us to really maximize what we're doing here, but I wanted to, we wanted to kind of take a look at what that journey is going to look like moving forward and continue to share some of the learnings done to date. And so with goal-based segmentation, a lot of times we tend to skinny down our audiences a little bit, or the number of audiences that we want to mail to. We typically recommend somewhere between 4 and 6 total audiences because once you get to the goal-based stage, this actually does require some additional resources, creative resources, because now we want to send different content, different offers, different subject lines to each of these groups. And we also want to vary their cadence too, because there are some segments that are going to react to more email better than other segments. And so you want to determine your approach to content and your promotional strategy and your cadence based on the goals that you've defined for each of the audiences that you've created. And this, I think, just helps to keep everything in perspective, and it helps you to deliver the right message to the right audience based on their customer journey. And so from here, we've really just started to take this approach with White & Warren as we're moving up the maturity model. And so from here, we do have a few learnings that we can share as we kind of started to approach segmentation in this manner.
And regarding the last slide, I actually said to Karen last week, you mean we have to have a separate email marketing calendar for each of those groups? And she said, yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is quite an effort to take on with a small team. We have a very small team, which is expanding rapidly, actually. Lots of positions are being filled and a few more open. But we're going to do it. We have to. It's the next big step for us. Full price is 70% of our business. Full price shoppers bring 70% of our volume, which is really exciting for us. As a brand, we protect the 800 stores that we sell worldwide. We don't promote. We don't like to promote. When we send out any kind of like a markdown email, it's very quiet. We're not aggressive about that. So the goal here and the activation would be to take all of those sales shoppers, segment them, and really just target full price product to them, exclusively full price. And we're very excited to do that because the brand is and the collection is expanding, so we'll have a lot more content for that. As I mentioned earlier, VIPs, they react really well to that early email. They get access before the rest of the world. They're always very successful, but we haven't spoken to them differently or separately yet. So all we do is just send them an email. So lots of opportunity there. And then 30% of our business comes from sales shoppers. We'll continue to speak to them and send them sale emails when we mark our goods down every once in a while. And we hope to maintain that business, but not grow that business.
Yeah, awesome. And then for that customer segment that has a really high engagement, we obviously want to continue to capitalize on that 30% open rate. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to start to target by product purchase behavior. And I know Susan can speak to one of their key products, the cashmere travel wrap, that seems to be an opportunity for us to target those previous shoppers.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we have an over 30% open rate and that the conversion rate is higher than 3% is amazing, and that's just the way it is. But we haven't really done anything with that, so we have to capitalize on it. And then what'll happen is everybody loves the travel wrap. Everybody loves the essentials. You actually saw the crew neck in the video, but we've never really done anything with that. So the opportunity is there. We just have to, and now we have the group to do it. We just have to start using, I guess, all of that's available to us with Listrak and personalize and go after them and speak to them. We've never spoken to this person. We've never gone personal with her at all. So
as Susan mentioned, this phase of the maturity model, it does require some additional resources. It requires
I said that 10 times.
Thought, it requires planning, right? And that's why as retailers, it's kind of a painful spot to be in, and many of us tend to want to move out of this level and up the maturity model as quickly as possible. Two other things that we'd like to continue to do, we talked about the folks that aren't engaging. We want to continue to figure out how to convert those and engage those subscribers on the list. And then we're also working on expanding some automation around post-purchase to really help drive conversion with those one-time buyers and those multi-buyers so that automation helps to do some of the heavy lifting rather than having Susan's team do it all. So what's next? in the couple minutes, or maybe less than a minute that I have left, as we move up the maturity model, we want to eventually move into that behavioral and predictive level. And it's not sustainable, really, to stay at goal-based forever. So we really find that when we look at best-in-class retailer programs, a lot of them are using goal-based segmentation alongside things like predictive product recommendations and predictive content, and really starting to use personalization and that machine learning component to help drive the content for their emails, because it's just not realistic to think that we have this limitless pool of creative resources that we can handcraft an email to every single person on our list. And so using dynamic content in combination with product recommendations, this allows us to then scale our segmentation program at mass. And then I would be remiss in saying that the final layer of that maturity model is predictive, and that's really when we start to get into using predictive algorithms and models to start to control someone's behavior before it happens. Right now, we're kind of reacting to their previous customer purchase behavior. And when you start to use predictive models to predict churn and to predict an at-risk customer and to predict who's going to become an active customer, you can start to be more thoughtful and get in front of that behavior. So some of the key takeaways, we know that data collection is key. Collect your customer data, collect your browse data, make sure it's clean, make sure it's actionable. The more data that you collect, the more opportunities that you have to segment. Start with the basics. A lot of us get really overwhelmed with segmentation, and we really don't know where to start. Start with one or two audiences. Start testing with them. Start developing your internal learnings and baseline metrics. I mentioned this, never stop testing. It's really successful email programs have a culture of testing built into their marketing teams and their marketing programs. So that's not something that's last minute or that only happens once a month. It's part of a daily regimen with their email program. And then finally, watch your metrics. They're going to tell you how your customers and subscribers are reacting, and they're going to kind of be the pathway and the predictor of what you guys should be doing and testing next and what's working. So I don't know that we have a whole lot of time for questions, but you can certainly come find us afterwards. And thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.